Right, so this morning, the president's border czar, Tom Homan, he says the administration will fight a new judge's ruling stopping immigration arrests without probable cause in Southern California. That judge ordering Homeland Security to stop detaining people based solely on race, spoken language, or occupation. More on that, CNN's Harry Enton is continuing to track with all of this news the shifting view of the American people as this immigration crackdown continues. How is the president doing on immigration at this point?
In a word, Kate, oof. What are we talking about here? Take a look at this. Trump's net approval rating on immigration. Got 5 numbers for you across the screen here. A lot of focus on Gallup at minus 27. That's horrible. Quinnipiac University, minus 16. That's awful. Marist is bad at minus 9. Ipsos is minus 8. Fox at minus 7. Bad. So going from your left side, bad, to just downright terrible on the right side of your screen, the American people have turned against President Donald Trump on what was his best issue, one in which he had a positive net approval rating for most of his term, and arguably the issue that got him, of course.
So the question is going to be why, right? And if you believe the polls, which I think they're trending in the correct direction, in my personal opinion. And I've spoken about this before, and I think let's see what he says. I don't watch these beforehand. I like to get my initial reaction when I post these things. I personally think that even the hard MAGA right? They want criminals to be deported. They're okay with everyone being deported. That's fine. They're starting to understand that that's not the case, that is almost an impossibility. In order to deport the numbers that came here during the Biden administration, you would have to get to levels that have been, you couldn't do it, right? You would just have to go around with nets and just start scooping up everybody at Home Depot parking lots, and it would be an impossibility. It's not something that can be done. Right. So what do people want to see? They want to see people that are violent, people that have committed other crimes other than crossing over the border as a priority, as a targeted priority to get deported, to get these people out of the country. Right. The people that are working and raising a family, if they get caught up in the mix, I'm not going to feel bad for them. It's you made a decision. Right. That's the decision you made. You came here legally. You kind of have to live over with that hanging over your head. It is what it is. However, that's not who the people want to see get kicked out, right? That's not who they're looking at as a priority number 1 on their list, right? They're looking at the violent felons. They're looking at any crime, even DWI, whatever. Just somebody that's done something wrong. And the only way to kind of do that and expedite that is to have these local municipalities cooperate with the federal government and say, hey, here, we got this guy. He had a DWI. He's going to be at court now. Go get him. If that was the case and that's what was going on, this would be a much more streamlined system, and they wouldn't have to bolster their numbers with, the guy putting up drywall, right? They could find the people that everyone wants to get out of this country.
GOP nomination all the way back in 2016. And one of the issues, of course, he used last year to quite a successful degree.
Absolutely. Is there signs that this is affecting his overall approval?
Okay, so you see this here, and then the question is, does this actually matter to folks? Why don't we zone in Hispanic voters, right? Because obviously a lot of the immigrants who have been affected by this have been Hispanic voters in terms of the immigration crackdown. Take a look here. Trump's net approval rating amongst Hispanics. Remember, Trump put in a historic performance last fall among Hispanic voters, did better than any Republican nominee dating all the way back since we have data in 1972. His net approval rating among Hispanics in February was pretty gosh darn good for a Republican at minus 2 points. Look at how far it's fallen now in June, according to CBS News YouGov, at minus 26 points. And I should note, CBS News YouGov is not alone on this. This is what we see in the averages as well. Donald Trump was doing historically well for a Republican amongst Hispanics in terms of his net approval rating, and now he's basically back where he was during his first term, which is quite a low approval rating, one in which has brought his overall approval rating down amongst the entire electorate.
And one thing that has been very...
I mean, the other thing that has to factor into that, obviously, is media, right? Whatever that is. I mean, the media is starting to trickle into and start to infiltrate, especially you have TikTok, you have Instagram, you have all of these other, like anything... When somebody's watching a long form, right? When somebody's watching this type of stuff, right? They're watching videos that are within the minutes, right? It's not 30 seconds, not minute long, not 3 minute long clips. They're 5, 10, 12 minutes. I watch hour long content all the time. Those people, right? They're not. It's much harder to dissuade them. It's much harder to propagandize them because it takes time, right? It takes time. And these are ideas that people like. I like to hear things out, and I like to hear other sides and multiple angles of things, and I process them. So somebody like myself, it's going to be harder. Not saying that they can't happen and that it doesn't happen, but it takes longer, right? If you can be propagandized in a 15-second TikTok clip over and over and over again, multiply that by millions of people, that is going to that can move the whole country, right? And that's why it's a very dangerous thing, and that's why people need to stay informed and realize what they're consuming, understand it, question it. So, these numbers that are here, you have to understand, there's been a massive campaign to shift the narrative, to shift the ideas of Hispanic people, trying to get them back to the left.
Very clear is that as this crackdown has continued, it has put immigration enforcement, ICE, in a whole new spotlight across the country. What are the numbers on ICE now?
Yeah, what are the numbers on ICE? It's not just affecting Donald Trump, it's affecting ICE as well. ICE's net approval rating. In Trump's first term, the average was 0 points, right? So right there on the bottom, as many approve as disapprove. Look at where we are now in June of 2025. Minus 17 points all the way down. So the bottom line is this immigration crackdown not being viewed properly by the American public, bringing Donald Trump down and bringing immigration and custom enforcement down with him.
Thanks for continuing to track this, Harry. It's really interesting, the trend lines that you've been seeing all along.
Thanks, Kate.
We're going to start with the issue which arguably helped sweep Donald Trump back into power, immigration. He promised to carry out the largest mass deportation in history, but is the administration's plan backfiring? We're going to take a look at scenes like this playing out in Southern California, where hundreds of farm workers were arrested in a raid by ICE agents. One man died from his injuries Saturday after falling from a greenhouse during a raid last week.
It's not good, right? It's not good. This is not something that the people signed up for. I'm not saying the majority, right? And that's why there's a shift. And again, the problem when it comes to law enforcement, and again, this is somebody I'm speaking from some kind of experience that we can talk about in the future. But the issue is we're looking for the numbers, right? When your boss comes down and he says, I need these numbers, right? I can't get 100 murderers today, so I'll get jaywalkers, or I'll do whatever. You start to broaden the base of what you're bringing in, right? If you're doing, and again, I'm not sure about this reporting, the fact that this guy fell from a greenhouse and he died or whatever. It was a raid on a farm. What kind of farm was it? At the end of the day, they're still illegals, right? Should these resources be, going to more targeted things where we're getting, not people that are working a 9 to 5 or 9 to 9 or whatever these people are working? Yeah. And that's the feeling behind it, right? The feeling behind it is, listen, a lot of the people on the right, they say, okay, if you're illegal, you get caught up in it, you're gone. I don't have sympathy for you. However, should we be going after the people that are working, people that are raising families, having children? Should that be priority number one, right? Should because you got to realize with a situation like that, you're talking about massive amount of resources. You got a TAC plan together. You have heavily armed individuals, armored vehicles, perhaps. This is a big show, to get these people. Is the bang for the buck worth it in this scenario? If you're scooping up a bunch of guys that are working in a farm, all right, yeah, so your numbers for the day are good, but what was your total outcome as far as what you did to society? There's still going to be a positive benefit, no doubt about it, right? Those jobs will then, become available, and it'll slowly trickle out into the community, and other people can get that employment, or those people will be out of the system and no longer taking benefits from American individuals. There's net benefits around to point to in a scenario like this, but it's just not ideal. That's not what mainstream is looking for. That's not what the 60-70% of people are looking for. There's always going to be that hardcore 25 that's down the clan. Let's go. Let's raid the farms. Let's raid the restaurants. Let's get everybody out. Everybody, no matter what. But the better bang for your buck is going after these hardcore criminals that people know are just creating havoc throughout their cities.
It's causing ICE to get more aggressive, more cruel, more extreme, and these are the results. It's people dying because of fear and terror caused by this.
And the guy fell from the top of a greenhouse. He was trying to run away. So I don't, this stuff could always be spun, right? That's just the way it goes. But as long as you can look back from it and understand what the hell's going on and take it for what it's worth, then you can, make your own judgment.
Administration.
On Friday, a federal judge actually issued an order for Southern California barring immigration arrests based solely on race, spoken language, or a person's job.
This federal judge's ruling is ridiculous. We never ran our operations that way. We always built our operations, our investigations on casework, on knowing individuals that we need.
Yeah, I mean that's illegal anyway. Like I don't understand the ruling. You know, you need at least reasonable suspicion to stop somebody for, you know, that they have or have not committed a crime. You know, we can go into all that stuff down the road, right? But to say that you're barred from, you know, I mean, yeah, okay, you can't stop somebody because they're not speaking English. You know, we know that. You can't stop somebody because they're brown. We know that. There are going to be other factors that lead to that, just not just that, right? Now, are those things that you can't say that I can't use that as far as being the totality of everything, right? Like if I come across somebody who, you know, I have evidence to believe that he's illegal, and I hear him speaking the Queen's English, I'm gonna say, oh, you know what, maybe I'm wrong or whatever. But if I hear that he's not speaking English at all, I can absolutely use that, right, as part of a thread to get me to the point where I have a reason to approach this person, right? I'm not exactly sure what this ruling is about. Let's see what else she has to say.
Needed to target because they were criminals, because they had conducted violent crimes against individuals in their communities or had overstayed their orders, had violated federal laws, and that is always how this is done.
So the ruling in California comes as alligator Alcatraz begins filling up in Florida with hundreds of migrant detainees. According to a list obtained by the Miami Herald, more than 250 people, out of that 250 people of the 700 held at the site, the minority have no criminal history or pending charges.
And again, another misstep. You know, like, I'm not sure about the reporting on this, but if you're going to open a place called Alligator Alcatraz and you're not going to put, like, you know, bad hombres, as he would say, in there, it doesn't look good. It doesn't look, you know, there's a lot of missteps going on here. And again, I think it's just for the wow factor. It's for, this is what the base wants, this and that. Yeah, dude. But at the same time, there are different ways to accomplish this. Like if you had Alligator Alcatraz and you could tell me that of the 250 people that were there, you know, half of them were like violent felons, at least, you know, I would say, all right, you know, let's put them there until we have a place where we can move them, or until they can get deported, stuff like that. We can work with this, right? But if the reporting there is correct, and, you know, I'm going to have to take a look at this after it's done. They said 250 people that are detained there, and they have no criminal past other than coming over the border illegally. All right, so, you know, maybe there's gang affiliations there. Like, you don't have to have a criminal past in order to have gang affiliations. So, you know, maybe you have to dig a little bit deeper, but it would just make it so much easier if you could say 250 people detained in Alligator Alcatraz are all, you know, either felons or, you know, they're in the process of you know, the court says, because they can't say they're a convicted felon if they've just been charged with something, you know, or alleged felon, something, right? You got to give them something. Yeah, man, this is going to be a wild ride, but thanks a lot for coming along with me. Again, like, share, subscribe. Subscribing helps quite a bit, because then you can see the next video as they come up. Please follow me on X, 6283talk. We'll have a conversation. Comment down below. I'll answer any questions that you have, and we'll see you in the next video. Thanks a lot, guys.